welcome. I am Ryan Staley, and I am here with you to share AI transformation for sales leaders. This is a 5-module series, which I think you'll be blown away with. At least the folks that I've worked to and have showed this to have enjoyed the hell out of it. So I'm going to get right into this because there's a lot to cover, and I know your time is hyper valuable. So let me do this. Let me share my screen with you right now, and we'll get right into it. All right. So what I'm going to do is walk you through this. One of the coolest things is about this, we're going over 5 different areas. All right. We got the state of AI for sales and sales leadership. So this is like the intersection of what's happening right now in this space so that you know where the puck is going. Like Wayne Gretzky would say, I'm going to take you from beginner to advanced with ChatGPT 4.0. And when I say ChatGPT, note, you could use that generically. There are also tools like Claude, Copilot, Gemini. These same concepts apply to all of them. And I worked across all of them, but I'm using ChatGPT to make it very simple. Okay. Same thing. We're going to accelerate mindset development in video 3. At the same time, we're going to free up 10 hours a week while scaling intelligence in 4. And number 5, we're transforming goals, prioritization, and expectations with ChatGPT for you. Okay. I know it's going to be natural for you to want to skip ahead. However, it's very important to do these in order because they all build on top of each other. And you're going to get ridiculous results if you just follow these. Okay. So I'm going to walk through and get rolling. Real quick about me, in case you don't know me, I'm the founder of Whale Boss, which is an AI sales, marketing, consulting, and skill transformation company. I'm also the founder of The Scale Up Show, which is a top 1% global podcast. I've taught this to numerous executives, revenue leaders, and even non-revenue leaders and their teams and helped transform them in a really tight period of time. At the same time, I'm also working as a chief AI advisory officer. In terms of my results, I took a company from 0 to 30 million in ARR with only 4 salespeople in 5.5 years with nothing in place and 0 teams starting. I've gone over 500 use cases at the same time. I've taught over 1,600 revenue leaders my proprietary methods on what I'm doing. And at the same time, I got voted the top AI global thought leader for one of the events I participated in, also a Gartner ambassador. And then I've also been a sales assembly and pavilion speaker as well. So just gives you some understanding about me. Now, as we get into it, I want to walk through what I see are the biggest barriers because this is preventing so many different people from implementing this in real time. And I would say this is the number one reason. There's so much noise out there about what is AI, different tools, so many different what's secure, what's not secure. So you're just getting blasted in the face with this. And to try and work and understand this on top of your job is why I created these super tight videos so that you can go through these and like level up like that, right? So that's step 1. On the mental side, these are the biggest areas I had. And stop me if you've heard this one, or if you said this to yourself, right? I don't have the time to learn it. It's not customized for me. It doesn't work for my job. It is too complicated. I get bad results. Those are the core things on why people don't invest it and take time. I've literally sat down and showed people how to do like 1 or 2 simple things. They're like, this is amazing. This changes everything. And I'm like, yeah, you got to use it, right? Like that's the number one thing. This is not something you could just delegate. You truly need to understand it. It is an alien life form that's different than anything you'll ever see in our entire life. And it's taking off, okay? So let me show you results. I like to start with results because as you know, I'm a results-driven person. That's how sales leaders are held accountable. So this is a study taken from Harvard and BCG Consulting, where they effectively had 800 consultants use ChatGPT and 800 did not, right? They didn't even give them training on it. Okay, so the questions I have for you is like, what do you think the percentage is of consultants, or I should say improvement that they had in terms of quality? If you had to guess, what do you think it is? All right, it's 40% higher quality, all right? At the same time, how much faster do you think they were able to do work, the ones that had ChatGPT versus the ones that did not? They basically completed it in 75% of the time, right? Last but not least, what do you think the quantity of work they were able to do? Okay, they were able to do 12.2% more tasks. Okay, you might think, all right, well, 40, 25, 12, not a huge deal. But when you stack those on top of it, you'll get a 210% improvement. All right. Now imagine what would happen for you if you were to get a 210% improvement on what you're doing, right? Your revenue number, your quota. Now think about it for your team. What if they were able to get a 210% improvement? Hell, what if it was even half? What is 150%? Just from this one thing, right? That would transform everything. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the emotional benefits of this too, because it is very understated. And so I'm going to tell you this. This is the way a lot of revenue leaders are operating. And so you have an asymmetrical advantage that you can take care of right now, right? So there's two ways that I look at getting to work. You could walk 17 miles. And if I do that, take me 6 hours and 18 minutes to get downtown. Or I could drive 17 miles and take 47 minutes. And that's with traffic, right? I'm outside of the Chicago area just to give you an understanding, right? So if we're talking about in speed and we're talking about your day, why would you spend the majority of your waking hours walking when you could be driving, right? Now, the other side of it is you could work the old way or the new way. So we just talked about speed and efficiency. Now we're getting into more like quality of output, right? And so the old way to work was using a flip phone, right? Like how archaic was it? You could only talk. There's so many other limitations you did not have. And then boom, the new way came along, which we're still using today, which is the iPhone, where effectively you had as much technology in your hand that even the president didn't have 15 years before, right? Or 18 years before, I believe it was. So like at the same time, like if you could drive and you could at the same time work at a much higher level intellectually and tool wise, why would you even do the old way? It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, right? Now, the next part we're going to get into is like the future of AI in sales. And this is taken along from Gartner, which I'm an ambassador for in terms of their sales community. What you're going to see is there's a few things here. We have really simple automation. And this is where a lot of folks are at this step one. Assisted selling, there's like a freaking co-pilot for everything. The beautiful thing about what I'm going to show you is you could arbitrage the cost of thousands and thousands of dollars a month per user, per tool, and you get to actually use it with one single tool, right? Because a lot of them are built on this foundation model. Now, what we're heading towards is automated selling, where effectively, kind of like Jarvis and Iron Man, you have autonomous agents working for you to complete multi-step tasks. And then at the same time, what it's going to evolve to is really effectively groups of organizations doing that. Now, we're in the blue right now, but it's heading toward the orange really fast. Okay, so that's where the puck is going. But if you want to be an expert at this, you need to do the foundations first, right? So you have a really, really unique point in time where you can take advantage of it that many others aren't even aware of, okay? Now, here's the other thing I want to show you. And this is like something I don't want to scare you, but I kind of do want to like open your eyes to it, because this is what we're seeing is that a lot of people are reducing headcounts due to Gen AI. All right. And so if you look at this, sales is not any different. They're looking at 67% of them are expecting headcount reductions. I've heard board of directors even say like if they stay with the same size for the next calendar year of 25, they're expecting a 30 to 40% uplift just based on AI alone. Okay. So this is coming. So when budgets come out in the future and this is exposed, whether depending on when you're watching this, things are going to like expectations are going to ramp up on your output. So you're going to need to do this to keep up. And if you take advantage of it now, you'll be ahead on top of it, right? Now, here's a couple different areas that we can look at it, right? We have how this is affecting your team, all right? And what we have is 72% of the time spent on non-selling activities, 28% spent on selling activities. This is from 7,700 sales professionals. Salesforce did this, right? Now, what I'm seeing is if you really master this and have your team fully immersed in understanding how to use tools like ChatGPT, you could basically free up 30 to 40% of selling time on garbage administrative tasks. I should say non-selling time. So you can free up 30 to 40% of non-selling time. And then you move it over to the other side, right? So effectively, we're doubling the amount of selling time and then doubling the quality of those interactions. So that's two doubles, right? So if we're talking a million that could lead to 2 million could lead to 4 per person. That's what two doubles is, right? Now, granted, they have to be immersed and you have to support it from above as a leader. However, the benefits are not only for them, they're for you as well. And this is an example of what we're looking at in terms of task time taken for a VP of sales, a revenue leader, or a sales leader. It's all applicable, right? Just you got to tweak some of the areas. If you understand how to effectively use this, I'm going to show you this later, you can carve out 10 hours a week in basically time savings, and then also have an executive advisor that you would need to pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month to give you advice if you understand how to use this. So effectively, you could tap into the smartest brains in the world by doing it, okay? So that's for your team. This is for you. Now, what we're also going to talk about is time. Depending on the size of your org, if you free up just 48 minutes a day for that person and you have a team of 40, you basically just scaled your team by 4 people. Okay. Now, this is awesome. If you do it the 96 minutes a day, an hour and a half, right? Like if you really apply these, what you're going to do is for every 10 people that you have, you're going to hire 2 new people. Okay. If you team of 40, that's 8 new people. This is when things really start to stack up, which is why some of the boards and expectations, or I should say senior leadership has expectations for these results, but you got to grab the bull by the horns and take advantage of it, right? So that's the other side. Now, what I'm also going to talk about is really, if you look at employee burnout is happening, the more and more we're pressing teams, and this is why we're going over mindset development in one of the areas, the more we're trying to extract performance or lead or inspire performance, the more that they feel pressed. And let's face it, like sales is one of the hardest jobs in the world, especially if you're selling to the biggest companies. So one of the things that I've seen that's an unexpected benefit of this is sales teams are blown away and like super excited about the investment because they're able to do and transform into superhuman, basically selling people that are sales people that have never had these capabilities before. And I've seen that personally myself. Okay. So now what I'm going to talk about, we're almost to the end of this session, so stay with me. I want to hit a couple points home and I'm going to show you some real use cases. You'll see these, but first I'm going to tell you what AI tools are and are not. Okay. So they're basically an alien life form and you have to talk to them like they're a person that doesn't understand anything. If you do that, you will get insane results. Most people look at them like it's a SaaS tool where it gets the same result every single time and it's very specific. Okay. That's one of the unique differences. It's not like that, but its capabilities, as you can see within here, you'll have some capabilities where a normal SaaS tool would be better. You'll have some that this will blow this away. Okay. So that's one of the things you need to understand in terms of how it operates. And one thing I will also tell you, this is the worst AI tool that you will ever have. I've looked at this over the last 2 years and it keeps growing by leaps and bounds in terms of quality, output, formatting, you name it. So this is going to get really freaky fast in a good way. And in terms of, like I said, I think it's already there, but I'm a power user, a master at it. It could be the same for you though, if you really grasp this by the horn. Okay. So here's some example use cases for sales. And I wanted to share this with you. I think this is good because it shows the breadth and the depth of it. And we're going to get deeper on a lot of these, but as you can see, it goes everything from research. One of the examples I love for company research, and I'll show you this, is like how to analyze a 10K, an annual report, the letter from the CEO, as well as the risk from the 10K, literally in like less than 30 seconds of basically that's a job that a sales rep would take 30, 40 minutes to do and do kind of a mediocre job at, where you can have an exceptional job in 30 seconds. That's like one of many use cases, right? And then we go through the whole stack of the job. You could leverage this for all different areas within here. Okay, basically every single use case up here. All right. And at the same time, I wanted to give you some examples of like, like it's great seeing that like on a chart with a visual, but like these are real world use cases. A rep named Simon used ChatGPT to close a $38,000 deal. He got lowballed at the end, was super frustrated, used it for non-emotional negotiation. At the same time, this was more on the partner side. Basically something that they were able to get done in 2 hours. It would take a day plus, cost the company a lot of money for access to data. And they were able to do that, blown away by that. Now they're saying 6 hours a week on partner research. We go over to marketing, and I know this is mostly sales leaders that are watching this. However, on the marketing side, there's been some amazing results too that you can apply to sales. So in this situation, they launched an Olympic themed security awareness training campaign, which in a day that used to take weeks. They got 12 MQLs from a single Twitter post, and then they hyper scaled blog writing as well as awards applications. All right. So those are a few other use cases that I've seen work well. And this is something where I leveraged it with data for a leader and identified how we can close rates up by 40%, how to increase the deal size from 21K to 91K, and then how to really attack the enterprise segment for growth because we're struggling there. So that's one of the areas that we pinpointed based on looking at data. And I'm not going to go over deep into data. If you decide to work with me though, this is something that I would go over with you. And then the other thing is emotional feedback. One of the CROs I worked with said, hey, I'm doing QBRs with my team and I wasn't expecting this, but like I'm seeing this from every review. It was such a great talent investment. Okay. So that was one of the things about the emotional capabilities where there's so many things. It's like death by a thousand paper cuts that slow people down in their jobs. And this just pulls that barrier off from them. All right. Now, I want to finish this up and say, just to kind of hit this home, and then we're going to get into some more of the tactical things. But really, there's two worlds that you could live in, right? You could be in the world where you're constantly at pressure at work, you're behind, you have 18 to 20 different time vampires or energy vampires. You could always be asked to do more. It causes friction at home, and you feel unbalanced and overwhelmed. I mean, at least that's the way I felt. And I see a lot of leaders I work with feeling the same way. And so what this will provide you is the capability to have dream confidence, work, I should say. That's a typo, right? With AI, put 10 hours back in your week. Once I did that, it was life-changing for my relationship with my kids. And you'll be able to do the 4 to 5 things you love, do 40% more with 3 months freed up if you extrapolate that. Creates harmony at home, and then you'll have more excitement, energy, and balance than you've ever had in your life. Okay. So that's what I'm excited to share about you today. In the next video, we're going to go into like the 3 core AI kind of like setup use cases so that you could become a super user instantly and start to really have amazing results right off the bat with what you do it in. And then from there, we're going to get more tactical in terms of specific use cases on the most common problems that sales leaders have, right? Just so you understand too, like I'm going to try and compress what I usually do for companies in a 2-month span, and maybe like less than an hour is really what I'm targeting. So there's going to be some amazing things that you'll have here. It's not going to be the same output as we would if I worked with you and your team and deploy this, but I'm looking to give you instant results, and I think you'll be blown away. You just have to do them. So look forward to seeing you in the next video, and thanks for joining me.